Hello everyone, it is time for a history mystery. I'm probably not the first person to come up with that term. History mysteries are some of my favorite topics to learn about, and today we're going to be discussing the historical mysteries that have to do with the word Croatoan. You've likely heard of this word before, and besides it being very fun to say, Croatoan has sparked the interest of many people throughout history because of its appearance at numerous locations where various vanishings have occurred. What does the word actually mean? Why is it commonly associated with disappearance cases? What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Shelby Nave, and today we are going to be talking about some of the most mysterious disappearances that have happened throughout history that are all connected by the word Croatoan. This topic is most definitely something that has been discussed before, but it's still a very nutty topic, so I decided that I'm gonna make a video on it anyways. Please stop. Are you ready for a history mystery? He's like, no, I'm just ready for my next nap. Sleep soundly, my son. I try my best to always fact check myself. If I say something today that you don't think is accurate, please nicely correct me in the comments below. We are all here to learn. Now let's get into it. When you type the word Croatoan into Google, the majority of your search results are going to be about the Lost Colony, aka the Roanoke colony, and the disappearance of all the colonists who settled there. It is definitely the most known story involving the word Croatoan, and to this day remains one of the most famous historical mysteries. The story goes back to 1587, 20 years before the first successful colony of Jamestown was established. I'd say success in quotations because was it really that successful? The British were led by John White, an English mapmaker and artist, who established this colony on Roanoke Island just off the coast of North Carolina. White and the other settlers actually established the colony rather quickly, but eventually White needed to return to England in order to gather fresh supplies, so he left his daughter and his granddaughter named Virginia Dare, who happened to be the first British person to be born in America. He left them behind, sailed off to England. What he didn't know at the time though was that he wouldn't be back in America for another 3 years. This was due to delays and complications from the events of the Anglo-Spanish War. He finally returned in 1590 only to find that the entire colony and all 115 colonists who resided there had completely vanished. The only clues that were left at the scene was the word Croatoan carved into a gatepost and the letter C-O-R etched into a tree trunk. So where did they go? What does this word mean and why was it left there in the first place? A lot of things could have happened over the course of 3 years, and there are tons of theories explaining why the colonists could have vanished. One common theory is that the colony may have gotten taken over or absorbed by native tribes. It just so happens that there is a Croatoan island where an Indian tribe of the same name resided, and it's not far from Roanoke Island. So they very well could have gotten taken over by the Croatoan tribe or just decided to move to that island and ended up getting absorbed into the tribe. So maybe the word was left behind so White would know where the colonists had moved on to, or perhaps they were telling them they're captors or murderers. We don't know. Regardless, in my personal opinion, I think this is the theory that makes the most sense, that they would leave the word Croatoan because it was a signal to White of what tribe they are now with or what location they have gone to. But this is just one of the many theories of where they could have gone to or why they would have moved at all. Some people believe that the colony may have gotten slaughtered by the Spanish or some other European presence and wrote the word Croatoan on the tree to point the blame at somebody else. Others have thought that perhaps the colony ran dangerously low on food and, like Jamestown, had to resort to cannibalism in order to survive. This theory would ultimately make sense just because there was no remains or bones left behind at the site. Some people even think they were abducted by aliens. That's probably the least supported theory of the bunch, but they have no proof of anything, so I'm not ruling anything out. And we'll circle back to some alien theories later. The events at Roanoke Island have gone down in history as some of the most mysterious happenings to ever be recorded. However, this is not the only instance when the word Croatoan has made a bizarre appearance. Edgar Allan Poe, yeah, the famous spooky writer from the 1800s, is associated with the word. He passed away in 1849, and interestingly enough, not a lot is known about his death. It's said that he disappeared on a trip from Virginia to Pennsylvania, only to be found in a Baltimore gutter, pretty much unconscious and mumbling nonsense. But not only that, while on his deathbed, he allegedly whispered the word Croatoan. To this day, his official cause of death is not known, nor is it clear what illness he was even dying from. Not to mention, all of his medical records and his death certificate have reportedly been lost. Let me tell you, I watch enough true crime and conspiracy videos to know that when something fishy is going on and the one document that would likely solve the mystery goes missing, it likely means that it was purposely hidden or intentionally destroyed. In my personal opinion, through observations. I don't know, you decide, but it's pretty weird. Another thing that's also pretty weird is the fact that this isn't talked about, even though Edgar Allan Poe is a very famous writer. I certainly didn't know about this, but I mean, we all know that school textbooks have a habit of leaving things out. This just happened to be one of them. Moving on, 1875 to 1883. Charles Earl Boyles, better known as Black Bart, robbed Wells Fargo stagecoaches at least 28 times across California. He's known for leaving 2 poems he wrote at his 4th and 5th robbery sites. This became kind of his signature act and ultimately ensured his fame. Black Bart was a very successful outlaw and stole probably thousands of dollars a year, which at the time is a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. I don't know what I'm talking about. He was eventually caught in 1888, and it's said that he had etched the word Croatoan into his prison cell before eventually getting released and never seen again. It's literally so weird to me how the word keeps popping up in places that ultimately result in somebody's death or disappearance. But oh, we're not done. Ambrose Gwinnett Bierce, I think I'm saying that right, I'm sorry if I butchered it, was an American writer known for his short stories, journalism, and poetry. He was also a Civil War veteran. His book, The Devil's Dictionary, was named one of the 100 greatest masterpieces of American literature. So he's kind of a big deal in the writing world, and even got compared to Edgar Allan Poe for his horror writing. In December of 1930, Bierce traveled to Chihuahua, Mexico, because he wanted a first-hand experience in the Mexican Revolution. It's said that the last bed that Bierce was known to have slept in had the word Croatoan etched into one of the bedposts. And then he was never seen again. Where would he have gone? Nobody knows. But he was rumored to be traveling with rebel troops before his disappearance. But who knows, this was a long time ago. He very well could have just gotten killed in the war, and that's why he was never seen again. But it is obviously very, very weird that he had that specific word carved into one of his bedposts in the last bed that he was known to have slept in. Come on. Now let's jump ahead to an even crazier one in 1921. The ghost ship called Carroll A. Deering floated its way to the shallow waters of Cape Hatteras? I think it's Hatteras. I'm gonna call it Hatteras, and I'm sorry if it's wrong. But the ship floated its way to the shallow waters of Cape Hatteras, only to find that there was nobody on it. But even more weird, the captain's logbook that was found still aboard the ship had the word Croatoan written on the last page of it. This is an eerie one. I feel like all of the ones before this could kind of more easily be debunked as something else, but I don't know, this one's just like really fucking bizarre to me. When the abandoned ship was discovered, it was said that it appeared like whoever was on the ship was preparing food for the next day, and then just poof, poof, gone, never to be seen again. Now listen, this could be explained away as, like, for instance, pirates ransacking their ship and killing the crew or taking them prisoner. The fact that there were items missing from the boat that appeared to be stolen supports this idea. But I guess in my mind, like, even if I was a pirate and I was going to take over somebody's ship, wouldn't you think that they would, like, try to keep the ship? I mean, I don't know, maybe they just figured they didn't have any use for it, but I guess it's just like, if they're already stealing stuff from the ship, why would they leave food behind that was obviously getting prepared? And why would they just not take the ship for their own? But we'll probably never know. However, some people believe that the fate of the crew was the result of them sailing through the Bermuda Triangle. And I mean, apparently all sorts of crazy shit happens there, so I really wouldn't be surprised if they got abducted by aliens while sailing through that craziness. And I mean, our government believes in aliens now too, so is it really that crazy of a theory? No. And maybe to make it a little more believable that it was something maybe supernatural or out of our control, is because the ship was abandoned and found on Cape Hatteras, which is right next to the location that was known as Croatoan Island. Yeah, remember our first story? How there was a tribe of Indians named Croatoan? This is the island that they lived on. Now, however many years later, we have this abandoned ship that just so happens to make its way back to Croatoan Island, and they find Croatoan written in the logbook of the captain. This just seems far too crazy to be an actual coincidence to me. It seems intentional. These events were more than 300 years apart, and I just find it really hard to believe for it to be a coincidence for two strange disappearances to happen in the same location, both associated with the word Croatoan. Because Croatoan is not like a common word. It'd be one thing if the word like help was written in the logbook and etched onto a tree. Those two events happening in the same place, I wouldn't necessarily think that they're connected because help is such a like common word. But Croatoan, that just seems like too specific of a word to not have a deeper meaning and be more than just a coincidence. The last story I have actually involves the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was the first woman pilot to fly solo across the Atlantic and mysteriously disappeared in 1937. So even more strange, other than Amelia just going missing, later it was noted that she had the word Croatoan written in her personal journal. Alright, come on! Something weird's gotta be going on with that word. I do want to say though, however, regarding the Amelia Earhart story, I just recently learned that she may not have disappeared at all. Well, I mean, publicly, yes, she disappeared from society, but I do think that people knew about it and possibly enforced it. Another creator here on YouTube, her name is Carroll A, she made a really interesting video about Amelia Earhart, providing proof that we probably have not been told the whole truth about Amelia's disappearance. But I, for one, am very intrigued by the idea that Amelia Earhart actually crashed on a Japanese island and the US tried to cover it up for some reason. What reason? I don't know. Croatoan. Who knows? Don't kill me. For real, like the more theories that I go through, it makes me think that this word has much more of a dark meaning and our government probably knows something about it. But for real, there's like interviews and stuff with World War II veterans, people who were there, who remember seeing her or her plane or her luggage after she had allegedly gone missing. I'll link Kendall's video below. She goes like way in depth with it and you should definitely go watch it if you're interested in the Amelia Earhart mystery. I thought it was really interesting and she mentioned a lot of things that I actually didn't know about. So now, after I had read up on all these mysteries that I just explained to you, the question still remains, what does Croatoan actually mean? According to Encyclopedia, ethnologists, I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm so sorry if I'm not, and anthropologists believe that the word Croatoan may have been a combination of two words meaning talk town or council town. Just based off the definition alone, that doesn't really give too much insight to what the word actually means in relation to the disappearances. The only time that I really think talk town or council town would really make any sense at all in any of the disappearances would be the very first story that we talked about. If Croatoan was just the name of a talk town or whatever that they were moving to, or maybe Roanoke Island was known as a council town. Like, I don't know, that just seems like the only possibility that even kind of makes sense. All of the other events, I don't really see a reason why talk town or council town would be there. We may never know what the word actually means, but it is interesting to me to see how these stories, and mostly the Roanoke Colony story, have influenced shows and other stories now in current times today. I've been seeing a lot of various TV shows have episodes featuring the word Croatoan, and it's interesting to me to see how all the different interpretations of these shows take with it. Like, they're literally creating their own stories out of this one really famous old mystery story. One of my favorite shows, probably a guilty pleasure at this point, is Supernatural. Supernatural referenced Croatoan in season 2 when Sam and Dean actually find the word etched on a telephone post. I thought that was cute parallel. And Sam actually refers back to the Roanoke Colony mystery.
Roanoke was one of the first English colonies in America, late 1500s.
Yeah, I do remember that. The only thing they left behind was a single word carved in the tree. Croatoan.
Yeah. And I mean, there were theories, Indian raid, disease, but nobody knows what really happened.
The show actually suggested that Croatoan was the name of a demon who was associated with plague and pestilence. Plague and pestilence? He was the demon of plague and pestilence. I'm just not confident in any of my pronunciations in this video. The show also referenced the word in season 5, episode 4, my all-time favorite episode, when Dean gets thrown forward 5 years in time. And not only is he greeted by the word just written on the wall in this 2014 apocalyptic time that he just got thrown into, but the plot of the episode was that Croatoan infected people were causing the apocalypse and taking over the world, essentially. Croatoan virus. Honestly, it sounds very similar to coronavirus. Wow, that really makes you think, is this what's gonna happen to us in the future? Coronavirus is gonna just turn into our version of Croatoan virus. You know, doctors find no cure, the virus turns into a super virus, everyone starts going wacky, and then boom, apocalypse. Another show that I've seen, American Horror Story, very popular, you've probably heard of it. American Horror Story also references Croatoan multiple times. American Horror Story came out with season 6 that is actually just titled Roanoke, and the ghosts of the colonists haunted the lands of Roanoke, so the elder in the tribe performed a ritual and banished the ghosts of the colonists, and this curse was finalized by saying the word CROATOAN! So obviously in American Horror Story, they interpreted the word meaning like a curse, a haunting. I am aware that there are a lot of TV shows who actually talk about Croatoan. It isn't just Supernatural and American Horror Story. Those are just the ones that I know the best. But all in all, it's very mysterious, and it's interesting to me to see how people are taking a very old mystery and kind of reinterpreting it into the modern shows that we see today. I don't know. I think these kinds of stories are super interesting, and I think it's really cool to see how these stories inspire new stories. But that's really all I got for this one. I wish I could give you more of an answer. That's the problem with unsolved mysteries, is like, at least me personally, I want to know so bad what actually happened. And the thing is that I probably will never know until I'm dead and hopefully can view all of the events as they happened in the afterlife. But definitely tell me your thoughts, guys. What do you think? What do you think Croatoan means? And don't just comment saying council town. What do you think it actually means? Why do you think this specific word keeps popping up at all of these disappearances? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up down below, and please subscribe. It really does help me out. If you'd like to hang out with me in between uploads, I've linked all of my social media below. Go give me a follow if you want. But as always, thank you guys so much for joining me on this history mystery. I'll see you the next time I upload a new video.